What's up, Space Pirates? This is your captain, the ever-charming Dr. Disaster, and today we are going to talk about Doctor Who. This subject, the Disney effect on this beloved franchise, is something that I've wanted to talk about for like the last week or so, but I just couldn't fit it into the schedule with all of the Star Wars news coming out. But today felt like a fitting time to sneak it in. So let's see what's happening in the world of Doctor.
What the hell is even that?
That, of course, is what I call the new Disney Doctor Who. Doctor What the Hell Is Even That? Because it is a completely unrecognizable franchise these days. And in this video, we are going to take a look at a recent article which lays out evidence that Doctor Who is being Disneyfied, including an example of Disney dictating to the showrunners what happens in the new Whoniverse.
Listen to me now.
The people making Doctor Who these days are happy to kiss the corporate ass of Disney for that sweet corporate money. But this Doctor, me that is, will not be quiet about what they are doing to our beloved cultural icon.
The Doctor is about to operate.
Alright, me hearties, let's take a look at this article where they lay out the warning signs of a Disneyfied franchise, but before we do, please make sure you give the video a thumbs up as it really helps me out with the algorithm, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter. My handle there is Dr. Disaster1. In any event, this article comes from the website Doctor Who TV. The headline says, guest feature is Doctor Who being Disneyfied, the warning signs. And then the article begins with a definition of what Disneyfication means, which I heartily approve of. In many ways, this is a definition of wokeness itself. I'll explain what I mean in a moment. Let's read the definition first. Disneyfication, the process of transforming something, often a story or a cultural product, into a form that is more palatable, family-friendly, and commercially viable, typically in the style associated with the Disney brand. The act of simplifying, idealizing, or making something more mainstream, often at the expense of complexity, originality, or artistic integrity.
Bingo.
Yeah, I love that definition. This is certainly a component of wokeness, though not fully encompassing of what wokeness is. You see, this is the motivation behind the corporate bigwigs and the big players who work for them. Now, the true believers out there, the little underlings who listen to everything that their corporate overlords tell them and swallow it all up like a prescribed pill, those people think that shoving diversity into movies is because of racial justice or gender justice or some kind of garbage like that. They have fallen for the divisive trap that corporate America laid out for them. But this definition of Disneyfication is what corporate suits are thinking when they ruin our franchises. They want to make it more mainstream and accessible. They want more people to buy their stuff, so they try to pander to different sorts of people in order to bring them in. They want to make as much money as possible, and they don't care if the stories are ruined. Anyhow, moving on, the article says, when the BBC first announced its collaboration with Disney for Doctor Who, fans like myself were left wondering, would Doctor Who end up being Disneyfied? Initially, the production team assured fans that the show wouldn't change, which somewhat alleviated my concerns. However, having watched 4 episodes of the new era now, along with observing other developments, my initial concerns seem increasingly justified. Rebranding, Season 1, or a continuation. One of the first red flags was the decision to officially label the 2024 series as Season 1 instead of the much more logical Series 14, seemingly presenting the Ncuti Gatwa era as a reboot. This situation is very different from the 16-year gap before the 2005 revival, which justified a fresh start after so long off-air. The last Chibnall episode aired in 2022, with Davies' Who back on screens just a year later. Adding to this is the introduction of the new Whoniverse sequence preceding each episode and the spin-off shows, which strongly mimics the Disney Marvel intros. These branding changes suggest a marketing strategy tailored more towards new viewers. Such a shift in presentation raises concerns about the identity of the series under this partnership. Once again, it's all about the dollar bills with these corporate stiffs. They don't give a shit about Doctor Who as a property beyond what it can do for them from a financial perspective. All of those wokesters out there, they spend all this time decrying corporate America, and yet they eat this up as if it's being force-fed to them. Well, pick a lane, dipshits. Either you're pro-corporation or anti-corporation, and if you keep supporting this kind of garbage, the choice you've made is clear. Anyhow, the article continues, changing Davros. The decision to alter Davros' iconic appearance for the foreseeable future was, according to Russell T Davies, aimed at moving his character away from associating disability with evil. On the surface, this might come across as a well-intentioned effort to avoid stereotypes, but given Davies was completely fine with Davros right up until the Disney deal and still has a Davros model proudly displayed in his house as seen in the recent documentary The Doctor and Me, it makes you question if it bothers him as much as he proclaims. Could this have been a mandate from Disney, whose strong requirements for culturally sensitive content may be causing Davies to toe the line?
Obviously.
Now, I'm sure that it's actually a little bit of both. Russell T Davies comes off as a true believer to me. He buys into this woke stuff, hook, line, and sinker, but I am willing to bet he never thought about Davros being quote-unquote problematic until Disney told him that it was, and like a good little corporate sheep, he obeyed. But let's continue. The bi-generation. The introduction of bi-generation is a concept that deviates from the long-established regeneration process of the Time Lords. This idea seems to align with Disney's trend in its franchises where characters are rarely given conclusive endings, keeping them alive for potential future story arcs. See the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Davies even said bi-generation led to the creation of a Doctorverse. This approach is starkly different from the essence of Doctor Who, which has always embraced finality with each regeneration. The traditional regeneration process symbolized renewal and the acceptance of change, a philosophy that seems at odds with the new direction. Do I have to say it again? I guess I'll say it again. It is all about the dollar bills, baby. Hell, that's why they brought David Tennant back in the first place. It's all marketing all the time with these people, and they don't want characters to die or have an ended story. That's why Palpatine was brought back in Star Wars. That's why they're exploring bringing back Tony Stark in the MCU. That's why Aladdin had 2 sequels. They don't care about originality or authenticity, they care about money.
Show me the money!
sci-fi to fantasy, a shift in genre. Russell T Davies has not been secretive about his intentions to steer Doctor Who towards a more fantasy-oriented direction, and he asserts that this trend will only expand in Series 14 later this year. It was already strongly evident in The Giggle and the 2023 Christmas special, the latter of which featured goblins and a musical number, as well as several scenes that could be considered more magical in nature. This shift pivots Doctor Who away from its traditional science fiction roots that have been a staple of the show since its inception. While genre evolution is not inherently problematic, it does raise questions about making the show more Disney-friendly, where fantasy and magical content is the company's main MO. And then finally, we have Disney's direct influence on episodes. We have undeniable evidence of Disney's involvement. Despite Russell T Davies' assurance of keeping creative control, there have already been instances where Disney's feedback has directly influenced the show's content, even going as far as requiring the shooting of new scenes. For example, Davies himself revealed on the episode's commentary that after Disney tested the 2023 Christmas special, they wanted the Doctor to appear more in the episode. This led to some last-minute scene additions. One where the Doctor saves the woman with the pram from a falling snowman decoration, and the other when the Doctor talks to a policeman. This direct response to Disney's feedback reveals without question they have a much more active role in shaping an episode's narrative than was initially led on, and this is just the beginning of the era. Consider the potential extent of similar changes implemented in Series 14. And this is what really has me thinking that Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson truly may not make it back for a third season, because Disney has reportedly only signed on to Doctor Who for 2 seasons, and if the numbers don't make sense for them to keep paying for Doctor Who, they won't do it. They won't bring him back. And things aren't looking swell for the new Doctor as far as the numbers go. You may remember that recently we discussed on this channel the idea that Ncuti Gatwa may leave after only a few seasons with Millie Gibson in tow. They both have discussed acting plans that will supposedly take place after their second season wraps up filming. This article from What's on Disney Plus delves into the subject. I won't read much of it here, but I will leave a link in the description if you'd like to check it out for yourself in full. The interesting part from the article that I did want to read is here, near the end of the article, where it says, ultimately, how long Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson remain on the new show is going to come down to multiple factors. Whether they enjoy working on the show, if the creatives and executives like their work, and most importantly, if fans watch the show.
We are so screwed.
The show has already come under some negative feedback for multiple issues, including Disney's involvement. And while the Christmas special was the 3rd most watched show on Christmas Day in the UK, the viewing numbers are drastically down on previous installments, and no Disney Plus viewership data has been revealed. Suck on that, wokesters. All of you Disney defenders who battle me in the comment section saying, oh, Doctor Who was the 3rd most watched show on TV on Christmas, that is a cope. It was always a cope. The show is seeing massive declines in viewership, and that's because this woke religion that you follow is massively unpopular. Hopefully, the Doctor Who franchise can shake this Disney menace sooner rather than later. I, for one, will be cheering every time we see low ratings and awful scores on Rotten Tomatoes. It brings us just a little closer to a change for the better. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.